The terminology used to describe wine can be surprising. But for those in the wine community, a seemingly strange taxonomy of words gives language to flavors, smells, textures, things otherwise difficult to describe. In the same way, Dr. Anjan Chatterjee and his team set out to create a taxonomy of words to help describe art and how it impacts those who experience it.
We thought having a taxonomy of art experiences could have people be more aware of what's happening when they're encountering art, and to enrich their experiences to be a vehicle for self-discovery. We derived 69 terms, 11 dimensions, and 4 overarching themes, which is positive affect, negative affect, a kind of sense of immersion, and the possibility of transformation. So that was the first phase of this line of research. Now, armed with this taxonomy, we have a tool to use in a variety of domains, and so this phase is the application of those tools. We had an expert in South Asian art, an expert in Mexican and South American art. We had a person who knew a lot about African art, and then we had kind of modern North American art. We brought theological and spiritual art, and we also used public art. Philadelphia has more than 4,000 murals. This allowed us to have a very wide range of work. Questions can range from how do people react to African art versus North American art, if they live in Africa or they live in North America. How do people react differently to public art than they do to fancy art in museums? We're hoping we'll be able to identify where in the brain these responses are. The aesthetic triad is how we think these experiences emerge. The first of the triad has to do with the sensory motor qualities of the artwork and how our brains respond to it. The second has to do with our emotional response. And the third has to do with knowledge and meaning. On average, people spend around 20 seconds looking at a work of art. How much can they really be getting out of it? So the way we set this up is we have 5 minutes where people are asked to focus on the form of what they're looking at, the texture of it. Then 5 minutes to reflect on what emotions are they experiencing. It could be apathy, it could be repulsion, it could be any number of things. And then finally, what are the associations they have to what they're looking at in the world? Like, are these images triggering other associations relevant to their personal lives? People looked at 8 objects or paintings that we had pre-selected, and then they answered these responses. And then they were asked to go back to whichever image or artifact that they found most engaging. We think about museum conditions, street art, and digital conditions, right? Because so much of people's consumption now is digital. One thing we are finding is that people are much more engaged and seem involved with public art more so than art that's sequestered in museums. We have now a very rich source of qualitative information. We are hopeful that we can take that data and then use new methods now, using large language models and artificial intelligence ways, machine learning ways of looking at that qualitative text and extract more common themes from that. This is pretty exciting because we might be able to close the gap between first-person qualitative experiences and kind of third-person accounts. So one thing we hope to do in the next year, we will actually start doing fMRI studies. So this is where people are lying in a scanner and having their brain responses recorded as they're looking at art. The whole range of what's going on in the brain is all up for grabs right now.